What's up, guys? Welcome back. Happy Thursday. We're going to hang out for about a half an hour or so, and I'll go over the player news, updates from practices today, and then we'll get into your start-sit questions. So if you guys do have questions, please get them. I see you, Sport Dog, in there. Good evening. We'll get to the questions in just a couple minutes. Tonight, we got a good game. We got the Buffalo Bills 7-3 against the 5-5 Houston Texans. Texans fighting their way to stay in the wild card race. This one's in Houston. I'm pretty excited about this little AFC. It's kind of like a little AFC wild card game. But let's read these underdog news and notes here, starting with Seattle Seahawks. Torrey Horton does not practice with that shin injury. That's a shame, man, because he balled out in that one Washington Commanders game on Sunday Night Football, and then they trade for Rashid Shaheed, and then he gets hurt. And then we haven't seen him since his big blow up. So frustrating there. Bryce Young fully practicing for Carolina. They play on Monday night, so we're getting the first reports for Carolina today, but he's in full. Here's a weird one for tonight. Keon Coleman officially inactive again. So not sure what's going on with that. We know they disciplined him last week, and they're going to do it again tonight on Thursday Night Football. Good news for the Bucs. Chris Godwin practicing in full with that fibula injury. We got Bucky Irving with the shoulder foot limited in practice again today. And I pretty much just peruse X all day long while I'm at work. And there seems to be a lot of rumblings that we're not going to see Bucky Irving on Sunday Night Football. There's a quote from Rondé Barber on a news program in Tampa Bay saying that he's unlikely to play. We have the quote from the Buccaneers themselves saying they got to get Sean Tucker more involved. So as of right now, we have this Bucs backfield completely in flux, and I'm not quite sure how it's going to look on Sunday night. So for now, I'm bracing, and they even said Bucky Irving's probably not going to come in and play all the snaps anyway. So I pushed Bucky Irving to a running back 3 flex. I moved Sean Tucker up to a strong RB2 this week. Rachaad White probably. If Bucky Irving plays, I'm not interested in Rachaad White. If Bucky Irving's out, Rachaad White's fine as a low-end RB2 flex play. No David Njoku today. I was thinking that it was just kind of like a day off yesterday, but back-to-back DNPs, a little bit concerned there for the Cleveland Browns tight end. The Bills did place Mecole Hardman on IR, so a bit of a bummer there he just got with them. Baltimore Ravens, you have Justice Hill back-to-back full practice, so he's looking like a go on Sunday. Isaiah Likely limited, so he was DNP yesterday, limited today. He's on track to playing. And then you have Rashad Bateman not practicing back-to-back. He missed last week, doesn't practice again in this one, so he's looking doubtful for Sunday. Jaguar news, you have Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange, and Bashal Tutin all limited in practice today. That's very good news for Bashal Tutin, considering it might have been a high ankle, low ankle, who knows. But he's practicing Wednesday and Thursday. He's on track to playing. And then I think Brian Thomas Jr. and Brenton Strange are both on track to playing this weekend in Arizona. I will note Travis Etienne was limited today with a shoulder. He was wearing a non-contact injury at practice. Questionable. He's not questionable. I think he's going to play, but just monitor that shoulder injury. Arizona Cardinals, Trey Benson limited in practice. Of course, they activated him from his window, and I don't think he plays this weekend. We'll see, but he's got a chance to play. I don't think I'm going to play him, though, if he does play. Kayshon Boutte fully practicing for the Patriots. You got Ramondre Stevenson limited. We'll see about those guys tomorrow. Hopefully they can rule them out or game time decision tomorrow for us. This Joe Burrow thing is getting exciting. I think they're going to throw Joe Burrow out there, man. He practiced in full today. He was full yesterday. If he practices in full again tomorrow, he's playing. I would be shocked if we don't see Joe Burrow play this weekend at this point. No Jamar Chase, but a healthy Joe Burrow, if he's practicing in full, why isn't he out there? So maybe they're rushing him back. I'm not sure. We're going to probably see him in a lot of shotgun stuff to protect that toe. But Joe Burrow, man, if he doesn't play on Sunday, I'll be a little bit surprised, but it looks like he's going to be there Thanksgiving night against the Ravens. Titans, we have Alec Ayomaner not practicing again on Thursday. I think Shamir Dike is going to be their number 1 receiver. I don't know. It's going to be ugly, but we're not using Titans receivers. Another backfield with very little clarity right now is the Green Bay Packers. Josh Jacobs, who did not practice yesterday, he was limited today with that knee injury. It sounds like it was not like a ligament thing. It sounds like it was just bruised up and swelled up pretty big. He took a big hit on that shitty turf there in New York. And he's limited, man. He's got a chance to play this weekend, which I don't think is a good idea as a Packer fan. I wouldn't mind seeing Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks take this backfield for one game and let Jacobs get ready for that big Lions game on Thanksgiving. You have Isaiah Pacheco limited today. We'll see about him. He's on track to play this weekend for the first time in a while. Xavier Worthy did return to practice as well for the Chiefs, so he's back on track. Finally, some positive news for Darius Slayton, he didn't practice at all last week, didn't practice yesterday, limited today. That puts him back on track to being available this Sunday for Jackson Dart, who was limited. Dart, I think, will play this weekend. Jaylen Warren officially practiced limited today. Didn't practice yesterday, but he's on track to play. And then Aaron Rodgers, also the other Steeler here with the left wrist. He's limited. I think he's going to play against the Bears. It looks pretty good for him. Let me see what else we got here for big player news today. I think we might be all caught up, though. So I'm probably going to open up some questions here. Yeah, I'm into the Wednesday stuff. So let's get into it. I'll hop into a screen share here, and I just want to welcome everybody to the show tonight. Excited to have you with me. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you guys are new. I really appreciate that. It helps my small YouTube channel grow. But we'll get that done with for now. Let's talk some football here. I don't know what you guys are having for questions here, but I'm going to start getting some questions answered. So we got Sports Dog. Good evening, my man. 18 full PPR. Superflex. We got Jay Warren and Marks in my RB spots. Would you use Aaron Jones instead of Marks? I'm just not sure how busy Marks will be. I have a pretty good feeling about Marks tonight, and he's kind of taken over this backfield. It's been his backfield the last couple games. I don't have a lot of faith in Buffalo defense. Like, they're the second worst team. They ranked 31st here against opponent running backs. I think they've allowed 8 straight rushing touchdowns or maybe 8 straight touchdowns to running backs. It's probably rushing, something like that. But they give up touchdowns here. They've given up the most rushing touchdowns in the entire NFL to running backs. So I'm comfortable playing Woody Marks tonight. And then you can make that Jaylen Warren, Aaron Jones decision later, which I'm probably going to lean Jaylen Warren, assuming he's healthy and out there. But for me, I'm going to go Woody Marks. I think you're going to get yourself a touchdown tonight, double digits. I think you got to play Woody Marks here and worry about the Warren Jones decision later. And hey, good evening, Harris. Hope you're doing well, man. He's asking Bashal Tutin or Tyjae Spears. So I have a similar, in my most important league, Harris, I have Tutin and Tony Pollard fighting for my RB2 spot right now. So it is pretty bleak, but the Titans going against Seattle. Seattle is pretty solid on defense. You can see they rank 10th here in opponent points per game for the running back position. Don't know if I want to mess with that. They're probably going to get blown out. I know Tyjae has been safe for 7 to 10 PPR points, but Bashal Tutin going up against the Arizona Cardinals. You see the Cardinals here, they rank 26th in points allowed to the running back, 10 touchdowns, good amount of receptions, 25 fantasy points per game. I know he's nursing an ankle injury right now, but I think they kind of saw the light last weekend, and they need him involved in this offense. The Jags want to run the ball, and they want to make Trevor Lawrence kind of manage the offense. So I think I'm leaning towards Tutin. I think he's more likely to score a touchdown. It seems like when they do get close, it's been Tony Pollard. I know Spears did get a goal line carry at one point this season, got a touchdown. But as of right now, it depends on what you want. If you want 7 to 10 safe points, you play Tyjae Spears. If you want to shoot for a little bit of an upside, I think you go with Bashal Tutin in hopes that he gets double-digit carries and a goal line touchdown. It's certainly looking like he's going to play this weekend. He's been limited. I saw a couple clips of him moving around pretty well. I think he plays, but I'm not like super excited to get him in my lineup. He's in that same bucket as, for me, he's like guys like Rachaad White, guys like Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears, just these fringe plays. And for Stevenson, with the Travion Henderson stuff, like, I don't think I'm going to play him if I have him this week. I got to see what this backfield looks like. They might also kind of just ease him back into things. Darnell Washington, the 311-pound Steelers tight end, has been a kind of a hot guy this last week with what he did on Sunday. But we're looking at Dawson Knox tonight against the Houston Texans, who are top. Like, this is not a good night to play tight ends. The Texans only allowing about 10 points per game to the tight end position. And then you have the Buffalo Bills the number one team against tight end. Just Dawson Knox probably doesn't earn enough targets. He's probably a touchdown or bust guy, which at that point, I think I'm going to play Darnell Washington. The Chicago Bears have allowed 14.5 fantasy points per game to the tight end tonight. We saw a mini breakout from Darnell Washington last weekend. Sure, I'm going to regret this if Dawson Knox scores a touchdown tonight, but if he does not score a touchdown tonight, I'm not too worried about it. So we're going to go Darnell Washington. And yeah, Jesse, we're talking about some hot guys tonight. Cheers, my guy. I hope you're enjoying whatever the hell you made for dinner tonight. But we're going to just hang out for a little bit here. We got a lot to we already covered the player news for tonight. We'll look at some of the rankings and the matchups that I'm liking, and how many touchdowns for Woody Marks tonight. Let's pull up the old DK machine. God dang it, they're making me sign in. They know who I am. Are they going to email me a code now? Come on, DraftKings, let me in. I just want to go to the sports book. So we're going to pull up the touchdown odds for tonight and see if we like anything. You know, Nico Collins is scoring a touchdown, Jesse. Don't get crazy here. Nico Collins tonight, I like him for an anytime TD. I think Josh Allen's the most likely guy to score a TD tonight at minus 125. You got James Cook minus 105. But before, I don't know if Jesse was here before, but we did highlight the Buffalo Bills have allowed 14 rushing touchdowns on the season, 15 in total. The 14 rushing touchdowns are the most in the entire NFL. So this is a good spot for our guy Woody Marks, who's plus 110, Nico Collins plus 145. I think both these guys are good odds to score. And I don't hate taking both of these guys to score tonight. If you guys are interested in doing that, so you put a $20 unit on these two, you get your money back if Woody Marks scores. And if Nico Collins scores, you make a little bit extra. And if both these guys score, so that's where you really have fun with it. The squeaky name that I've seen on X tonight is Khalil Shakir, who just had his wife just had a baby this week, and that's why he missed some practices. But I think there's some steam for our guy Khalil Shakir. And hey, I appreciate you, Sebastiano. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I really appreciate you hanging out, my man. I think we're in for a good game tonight. I don't think this is going to be high scoring, but I think it's going to be a close enough game. Like there's only 44.5 points implied tonight here. The money line's on Buffalo for sure, 5.5 points. I think when I opened this game up this week, I think it was like -7 Buffalo, and it's tightening up a little bit. Davis Mills looking pretty good the last couple games. He's kind of revitalized the Texans here and given them some wild card hope. So I don't hate the Texans odds here. In fact, I probably take the Texans 5.5 tonight. I think that's a fun spot. And I appreciate you, Sebastian. Thank you for hanging out with us. I appreciate you subscribing. But I think we're in for a fun game tonight. I am nervous about Josh Allen's passing numbers. Keon Coleman, a surprise inactive again tonight. I don't know what's going on with him. I never thought he was any good anyways. But we're going to see Buffalo with they got like a clown car of wide receivers right now, whether it's, I think Khalil Shakir is a good receiver, but we're talking Curtis Samuel, Elijah Moore, Gabe Davis, just all these random dudes getting out of the Buffalo car tonight. And then Dawson, I think this team is missing Dalton Kincaid tonight. Houston, the best team against opponent quarterbacks, man, only 12 points per game allowed. They've only allowed 10 passing touchdowns all season. And then, yeah, they're pretty good against the receiver as well. Only 6 receiving touchdowns all year. Josh Allen's going to have to grit this one out. I think James Cook's going to be heavily involved tonight. You can run the ball a little bit, but not like Texans give up rushing touchdowns. They just don't give up a ton of yards, and teams have to throw the ball to the running backs here. So I think we're in for a tight game tonight, and I'm not opposed to Houston stealing this one at home. Let me see if I can find anything else for us tonight to look at. If you guys want me to look at props, we can look at props. I do have to get my props up on the website tomorrow. That's usually when I do that kind of thing. But let's take a peek here at the start sit charts, which I did cover. I covered those on Wednesday night, but I just want to talk about some of the updates that I did today. And so right now, I'm going to update this tomorrow. I'm going to move Kenneth Gainwell to the RB3 flex spot, which is like a top 30 running back play. I like him because I think even if Jaylen Warren's healthy, they like Kenneth Gainwell enough to maybe lighten Jaylen Warren's workload just a little bit. So Warren will be a low-end RB2 for me if he's out there, and Kenneth Gainwell will be an RB3 flex for me. I did elevate Hunter Henry to the tight end 1 position here. He's going against Cincinnati. This is a spot that has just been printing money. The Bengals are the most targeted team against tight end with 97. They've given up the 3rd most receptions to tight end at 66, and then easily the most yards to a tight end and easily the most touchdowns. So this is a really nice hot Hunter Henry opportunity. 22 points per game to the tight end position, the Cincinnati Bengals. I think Hunter Henry is definitely a pretty strong play this weekend. With the Bengals, I'm going to give it tomorrow, but like I'm about ready to put Joe Burrow out there as a QB2. I don't think I'm excited to put him in there as a QB1 just because I don't think he's going to have the mobility. I don't think he's going to be running around as, we had been seeing him earlier in the year and especially last year. And you're down Ja'Marr Chase as well. So that is a big factor too. So I'm probably not playing Joe Burrow. Like if I have Brock Purdy, I'm playing Brock Purdy. If I have Caleb Williams or even maybe Jordan Love, Jackson Dart, I'm playing some of those low-end QB1s over Joe Burrow tomorrow, despite this game being at home. But again, it's a tough matchup against the Patriots without Ja'Marr Chase, limited mobility. I just want to temper expectations. I'm excited to have Joe Burrow back, but I don't know quite how high his ceiling is without his number 1 weapon. I don't think I changed anything in this game. I'm going to give Darius Slayton a chance to play, though. He was limited today with that hamstring, so that's good news for him. Vikings-Packers, man, I think this game is going to be kind of ugly, low scoring. We have the huge Josh Jacobs news blurb probably coming tomorrow, and at this point, I think it's going to be a game time decision, man. They want Josh Jacobs out there if he's able to go. We're probably not going to find out until an hour and a half before kickoff on Sunday, or maybe Saturday night. We get those late Shefty bombs. Maybe they tell us Josh Jacobs is trending towards not playing or playing. So we'll watch that. If you grabbed Emmanuel Wilson this weekend or this week, just stay patient. Maybe we get the note that we're going to be getting a starting running back 2 this weekend. And then Vikings side, I don't think I changed anything. I'm not really excited about the Vikings offense right now. I think it's Kenneth Walker weekend, guys, against the Titans. The head coach was saying that, he thinks Kenneth Walker's earned more touches, which is music to a lot of people's ears. The Titans, they're kind of a running back funnel. They've given up almost 1,100 rushing yards, so that's over 100 a game to the running back spot. They've given up 12 rushing touchdowns, so that's well over 1 per game. They don't really give up a lot of receiving stuff, but I did notice that the Seahawks finally threw to Kenneth Walker last week, and he had 3 catches, and he was a weapon in the receiving game. So I think there's some steam here for Kenneth Walker. I think he's a must-play running back 2 this weekend. And I kind of like Rashid Shaheed, man. We got to see Rashid Shaheed get loose and finally make some big-time plays with his new team. I think Sam Darnold in this offense kind of open it up and get going again. They've been kind of stale the last couple of weeks, despite blowing out. Who did they blow out? I don't remember who they blew out, but they blew somebody out. Maybe it was the Saints or something early in the year. But anyways, the Chiefs, it didn't pop up on my feed earlier, but Daniel Jones was limited today. He popped up with a calf thing. He was full yesterday, and then today they listed him limited with a calf. So something to watch tomorrow. If he goes back to full, I'll be happy. If he remains limited, it's just something to keep an eye on going into Sunday. I think in a 1 QB league, I'm not super interested in whipping out Daniel Jones against the Chiefs in Kansas City. But yeah, I'm playing JT, Pittman, Pierce, Warren. I think I like those weapons for sure. But man, if Daniel Jones is a surprise inactive for this game, we have a lot of scrambling to do with our Colts. You're going to play JT, but all the other receivers become borderline flex plays at best. The Chiefs, I think we're going to get Isaiah Pacheco back this week. I'm not quite sure on that. I think if you have Kareem Hunt, you're hoping for that goal line touchdown plunge. That's pretty much it. If you don't feel like you're going to roll the dice with that and not going to risk the 3-4 point floor, I get it. But I do think it's trending towards Isaiah Pacheco playing. And then with Worthy back at practice today, I think he's going to be out there for the Chiefs. I'm not super excited about this Jets-Ravens game. I think this game could be ugly. It looks like Rashad Bateman's not going to play. I do think Adonai Mitchell, in leagues where he's still available, man, I think he's worth a look because he didn't play a ton of snaps last week. It was his first full game with the Jets, but he was targeted 6 times. He only caught one of those passes. He dropped 1 or 2, but there were some good notes from the offensive coordinator today saying that, we can work with the drops. This guy gets open. We got to find more ways to get him the ball because he's getting separation. So Adonai Mitchell, definitely one of those guys who I think with Garrett Wilson on the shelf, who knows, maybe for the rest of the year. I think AD Mitchell, it's rare to pick up a team's number one receiver at this point of the season. And I think to me, it's pretty clear it's going to be Adonai Mitchell leading this team in targets for the next few games, at least while Wilson's away. I don't even want to talk about Browns Raiders. I think both defenses are startable, though. I think if you have the Browns and the Raiders defense, you're probably liking their opportunities this weekend. Shedeur Sanders starting. I don't see them scoring a ton of points. This game will probably come down to special teams play and who does not turn the ball over as much. Jags Cardinals. So we know Marvin Harrison's going to be out in this one, but we're watching Trey Benson tomorrow. I don't think Trey Benson's going to play. Typically what you see is when a player's 21-day practice window is opened, he's going to practice for that first week with the window open, but he's probably not going to play that first week. This has just been kind of the way it goes. I think Trey Benson probably plays in week 13. That would be my guess. So we're looking at another week of Bam Knight, Michael Carter as the kind of low-end RB2 plays at best. Carter is the more receiving back. I know Amari DeMercado has already been ruled out as well. I'll update that D there. But it's looking like Bam Knight, Michael Carter, both guys that you could use in emergency pinch. And then I think I'm going to get a ton more questions on Mr. Tootin because he looked really good last week. He kind of he didn't overtake, but he forced a pretty damn near 50-50 split with ETN last weekend in that game against the Chargers. He gets hurt in the third quarter, and now he's practicing limited. I think if he's out there, I do expect Jacksonville to control this game and to hopefully play with a lead and be able to run the ball 30 times. Like that's their recipe. So I'm leaning towards Bashal Tootin being a double-digit carry player, get a catch or two, and he's been the better goal line back this season. Eagles, Cowboys, I don't have any changes here to that game. You're starting those dudes. Falcons, Saints, so I don't know what to do with this one. If you picked up Darnell Mooney this weekend, I think it's a good time to just throw him out there and see what happens as your wide receiver 3 flex. I think the Saints, like the last we saw the Saints, they upset the Carolina Panthers. So this team under Tyler Shuck, it's interesting. Alvin Kamara had some life. Chris Olave had some touchdowns. Jawan Johnson had a touchdown. Like there's a little bit of juice here with the New Orleans Saints. And I do think Devin Neal is going to get maybe not more involved, but I think he's going to stay relevant enough to warrant holding on to the end of your bench. It's Thanksgiving season. This is when you want to be rostering these next man up handcuffs, and Devin Neal would be the next man up here for the New Orleans Saints. Sunday Night Football. This Sean Tucker, Bucky Irving stuff, man. I think if Bucky Irving plays, if you don't have a better option, you can play him. He's going to get touches. We know he's going to be out there for a little bit, not a full amount of snaps as he normally would. But I would expect Sean Tucker to be the team's lead back, even if Bucky Irving plays. So that's probably double-digit touches for Sean Tucker. Rachaad White, more of a third down, change of pace back in this one. So White would be unusable if Bucky plays. If Bucky does not play, like Sean Tucker's a must start, and Rachaad White is a fringe RB2 flex play at best. I'm willing to give Tez Johnson one more chance as a wide receiver 3 flex. It was pretty ugly last week, despite getting a couple carries and really only making the one catch. But he just scored 2 touchdowns for this team, and the Rams are 7-point favorites at home. Tampa Bay is probably gonna have to throw the ball 40 times in this one. So I think Tez Johnson, we get stuck into this thing of chasing points a lot in fantasy football. Like Tez Johnson catches 2 touchdowns, scores 20 points. And then the next week, I'm answering tons of Tez Johnson questions, and then he lays this complete egg. But I think I'm willing to go back to the Tez Johnson well. But we got to keep an eye on Chris Godwin. If Chris Godwin's out there, that does limit his upside just a little bit. And then I'm going to say keep an eye on the Rams this weekend. I think Terrence Ferguson might be someone worth adding. The Rams have been using 4 tight ends for like the last month or two, and now Higbee's on IR. And they've been making some big plays to this rookie Terrence Ferguson. They've been running a lot of snaps to Davis Allen and Colby Parkinson. But I think now they might just have to commit to one of these guys being a primary route runner for the team. I hope it's Ferguson. He's worth holding on to for the weekend, because if we get this awesome Sunday night reveal, we got something. And then Monday Night Football, no changes here. And it's kind of the same thing that I said just a minute ago about Tez Johnson. Ricky Pearsall was out there his first game back. He played the full amount of snaps and routes that he normally would if he was regularly healthy. So I think he's back in terms of conditioning and things like that. He just didn't have a big fantasy day. But he was getting open. I saw a couple plays and a couple routes of him beating his guy wide open for a touchdown. You just couldn't get the ball off. So there are some big opportunities for Ricky Pearsall. This offense is going to be really tough to stop, honestly. I think this is one of the more exciting offenses for the second half of the season. So I'm not afraid of Ricky Pearsall. I know he just played bad, but just sometimes you get in trouble when you chase fantasy points. And in this case, you shy away from fantasy points just because of one bad game. So I think Ricky Pearsall is a guy worth playing. But I'm going to get out of here for tonight, guys. Enjoy the football game tonight. I think we're in for a good one. I think the Texans will be able to run the ball with Woody. I think they're going to be able to make big plays. Keep an eye on Jaden Higgins tonight. If Jaden Higgins is available in your redraft league, I think he's worth adding and holding on to, because he's been kind of stepping forward the last 2 weeks for the Texans. I like him if you guys are playing lineups tonight, whether it's DraftKings or FanDuel or wherever. I think Jaden Higgins is a good player. So he's starting to make an impact here. So let's see what we get tonight. I hope you guys have a good rest of your Thursday evening. Thank you again for hanging out with me on a lovely Thursday evening, guys. Enjoy the game. We will see you soon. Peace.